Chaos erupted in a House committee markup Thursday after a blowout over eyelashes. Yes, eyelashes. Congresswoman Marjorie Greene took a jab at Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's fake eyelashes, and fellow Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez quickly came to Crockett's defense and pounced all over MTG. Let's watch.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on. Point of order.
Mr. I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down.
Aww.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Baby girl? I don't think
we are going to move, and we're going to take your words down.
I second that motion.
So who will have to fail? Okay. All right. We're suspending.
Crockett shot back at Marjorie Taylor Greene, too, leaving committee chairman James Comer seemingly confused. Let's watch that.
Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
Talking.
Look, I know. Look, I don't know if you've noticed it. I have 2 hearing aids. I'm very deaf. I'm not understanding. Everybody's yelling. I'm doing the best I can. Can we not recognize Ms.
The back and forth, which happened during a markup to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, lasted for about an hour, with lawmakers screaming over one another and hurling insults left and right. Comer, a Republican from Kentucky, was struggling to maintain order throughout all of this. This looks like Parliament in other countries. I don't know if anyone who's a viewer of this show has had the pleasure of watching Parliament in South Africa or in the UK, but it devolves into ridiculous tit-for-tat arguments like this. I think it's petty to point out someone's, physical appearance, but it didn't need to devolve into 1 hour.
I feel bad for James Comer sitting in the middle of this, trying to, with his 2 hearing aids apparently, trying to play Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live. I mean, this was just an insane moment. We haven't seen something like this in Congress in a while. But I will say, people often cry about the lack of decorum in Congress nowadays or the lack of civility in politics. And I just want to remind people that in the early days of the American Republic, there was a physical caning on the House floor. So we're actually doing a lot better because at least not to this point, there hasn't been any actual physical violence between lawmakers in the modern Congress. So I think actually we're improving if you look at it from a historical perspective.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. I love reading the old insults that were thrown back and forth on Congress back when they used very colorful language in English, words that are since retired, but the insults were much better than the insults we have today. But I think it reaches a fundamental point where we have to say, is this a good use of our Congress people's time? I don't think so. I think that there's a lot to get done and a lot of issues in the country, and arguing over eyelashes is just a poor use of public resources and Congress people's time. So yeah, that's where I stand on all of this. I don't think it should be happening, but then again, it is better than things have been in the past and better than other meetings of Parliament in many other countries.
Yeah, and to be fair, sometimes I'd rather Congress be distracted than pass legislation that sucks, which seems to be what they do on a regular basis. Like, people are always judging Congress based on how many bills they pass, and I want them to pass far fewer bills because most of the bills that they pass are actually terrible and negatively affect the American people. I guess the other thing that you could say positively about this moment, although the fight was over something stupid, sometimes it can be kind of frustrating to see Republicans and Democrats fight on the floor of Congress, but you realize that they're roommates when they leave Capitol Hill, or they're good buddies, and a lot of what they do on the Hill is really for show. And then you have basically this uniparty situation where they like pretend to fight with each other, but then they all vote the same way. This feels a little more authentic to me than a lot of what else usually happens on Capitol Hill. So I think I'll take it. I'd rather have them have real fights I'd prefer it be over policy disagreements as opposed to eyelashes or butch builds or whatever it is that Jasmine Crockett said. But at least we know that these people really do hate each other and really do disagree on everything, as opposed to a lot of the more moderate members who just pretend to disagree, but really are great friends, and then they all vote for whatever bill gives Boeing more money.
I think it's ridiculous how members of Congress have been so fundamentally distracted. I've said this for a couple of years now. By wanting viral moments, by wanting attention on the internet, starting their own podcasts. If you really wanted to be a media personality or an influencer or a political commentator, you should have never run for office. Your job is to pass legislation, to make a good budget for the country. And I agree that a lot of the bills that have been passed in Congress, there's no reason for why we should use volume as a measure for them. But a lot of members of Congress, we don't see them getting much of anything done, co-sponsoring any bills, helping write any legislation. And that's concerning. But I think when I look at the spending packages for Israel, for Ukraine, the TikTok ban, it's ridiculous to me that our schools are struggling. People can hardly afford their utilities. We've had the privatization of healthcare in many states across the country. There are just so many issues that need legislation and budgeting and public resources allocated through the budgeting process to address. And to see them fighting about stuff like this and passing other bills that are not directly relevant to the American people, that are not popular among the American people, it's just ridiculous. Especially when you see people like Marjorie Taylor Greene having these sensational moments seemingly for attention. I'm just tired of members of Congress using Gen Z language, trying to get clipped and put on TikTok instead of taking their job seriously. If that's what you're in this for, you should just quit and try and make it as a media personality. You would not be getting the attention you are getting now on the floor of Congress if you did the same thing outside of the halls of Congress. A lot of the attention they're getting is because they're being ridiculous. I don't know if they realize this or not, but it's really a conflict of interest to get into public office and use it just to become a famous person. It seems to be a very common trend.
That's going to do it for us today on Rising. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we are now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Bye, y'all.